guys, what is up? My name is Megan. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe, and welcome to the first TBR video of 2024. We are keeping on with Candyland Picks My TBR. However, I did switch out some of the prompts from last year. So here is where we are at with the prompts and what each color means on the board. I will let you guys have a look at what has changed and what has stayed the same. If you are new here, I will leave a playlist of Candyland up in the description and the cards for you guys so that you can go back and watch them more if you want to, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I fall on colors and each color corresponds to a prompt. If I land on the same color 3 times, I add an extra spin, and we are starting off fresh with the board. We are going back to square one, no penalties. This year we are increasing the amount of spins to 6 from the starting point, and I have some other fun things that I will add as extras, some little wheel spinners and some other jars we are going to pick out from every month so that I can increase my reading and reach my goals. Without further ado, let's just hop on into spin number 1. Spin number 1 fell on purple, which remains most read genres, which if you are new here are middle grade and romance for me. I decided to kick off the year strong and put what is on my book club for this month. So I am putting The Kingdom Over the Sea by Zora Nabi on my TBR. This is, as I said, my middle grade book club pick for the month, and so I thought, you know, better put it on here. This is kind of like a chosen one trope. She learns about this other land she didn't know about, and she has to kind of save it. That's kind of like the premise of this book. I'm super excited for this. I think it's going to be like a very big hit, and I've heard nothing but great things about this book. If you want to know more about it, I explain more of its synopses in my book club picks for January through March, which I will link in the cards for you guys. So yeah, moving on to spin number 2. Spin number 2 brought us to a double blue, and that is now recent purchase, as one of my goals this year is to kind of read what I buy as I am buying it, and for that I decided to go with Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This has been pitched as the Hunger Games meets Red Queen, so I'm super excited. Everybody says this is super bingeable and it's a romantasy, so I am very interested in this one. Its sequel comes out in July, but knowing myself, if I procrastinate and put it too far off, I'll never get to this book or its sequel. So we're reading it, and I just figured out that this is also multi-perspective, which increases my feelings towards this book a crap ton more. So yeah, I cannot wait to tell you guys how I feel about this book, and yeah, because everybody seems to be freaking out and like binging this in a day, and it's like a pretty chunky book, so very hyped for this. Moving on to spin number 3. Spin number 3 brought us again to a purple, which means most read genre, and I'm going for another middle grade this time. We are going with Keeper of the Lost Cities. Keeper of the Lost Cities is the first in a 9-book middle grade series thus far. I've heard the author is actually going to continue this series but took a break because she was expecting a child, and this is something I am actually again hosting on my channel. I basically decided I'm going to start a Keeper of the Lost Cities read along starting in January with this first book. So if you want to join me, I will leave the announcement in the cards for you guys as well. This is a book that is pitched as something that resembles Harry Potter. We find a main character named Sophie who learns that she has these powers. She goes into this new world. It ruffles some feathers and she goes on all these magical adventures. I'm very excited to see how I feel with this one because committing to a 9-book series is always scary, but putting it on my TBR because I don't have a choice to read it anyways. Moving on to spin number 4, which again was Double Purple, which is exciting because it's most read genre, but not exciting because that means we have to add an extra spin as we've fallen on purple 3 times. But for that, I decided to switch it up a little bit and go with a romance, and we are going to be reading That Kind of Guy by Stephanie Archer. This is a romantic comedy, and it is the first book in a series of small town romances. This is a fake fiance scenario. I basically own, I think, 3 out of the 4 books in this series, and I own some of her other books because I wanted to encourage a Canadian author, but it's the time that we start reading these books because I have a feeling I'm going to love Stephanie Archer, but I need to get around to them. So we are going to pick this one up. I believe this is, I don't know if this is multiple perspective. Let me see. It is. So again, increases the likelihood I will absolutely adore this book. But yeah, it's a small town fake dating. They both get something out of like dating each other. Very excited. It's not super long. It's like, how long is this? Like shy of 300 pages, which I also love. So adding this to the TBR. Spin number 5 fell on red, which remains the same as last year, and that is indie published. And for that, I am going with an indie published romance, and that is Signed, Sealed, Delivered, which I'm so excited for this. This is again a dual perspective romance, and it is a pen pals kind of situation, and they are roommates, I believe. And honestly, all my favorite tropes combined. I have a feeling I'm going to love this one. This is my first by this author. She is Juliana Smith. I absolutely love her covers, and I do own another one of her books, so if I like this one, it's probably gonna make me want to pick up the other book I have by her, which is what we want because we want to read the books we already own. Moving on to spin number 6. Spin number 6 is also new because we fell on yellow, and this year I decided to have yellow be subscription box books so that I'm sure that I'm reading all these subscriptions I get. For this one, we are actually going with The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This wasn't technically in a subscription box, but it is from Fairy Loot. This is the stunning Fairy Loot edition, and I have been wanting this book, first of all, for a really long time, and second, I just need to read it now because, like, what am I waiting for? Ashley Poston is one of my favorite young adult authors, and I cannot wait to dive into her adult novels. This is like a magical realism, kind of like paranormal romance between someone who works as a ghost writer and someone who's a ghost. Like, I'm not really sure. I just hear everybody raving about this book, and I'm intrigued. As I said, Ashley Poston is a queen. I absolutely adore her, so I'm excited to get to this one. Moving on to spin number 7, and what will hopefully be our last. Spin number 7 also fell on blue, which again is recent purchase, and for that I will be putting a poll pick on my community tab because I always love to get you guys involved, and you guys are gonna pick between 2 hockey romances, one of them being Offside by Avery Keelan, which is a chunker of a book. This is almost 600 pages long, and I own this one and was actually gifted its companion novel, so I'm very excited for them. Or Collide by Bal Cabra. I'm sorry if I mispronounce this. I will obviously Google it if I end up reading this book. So these are 2 hockey romances. This is what they look like. I don't know much about either of these because I don't really look into hockey romance. I just buy it and then I binge it because I love it. So please let me know in the poll or in the comments which ones you guys want me to read most, and I will read it in the month of January. As I said, this year I want to increase the number of challenges I give myself, and for that we are going to add some extra jars and spinner wheels to pick more books from my TBR. Obviously the main priorities are Candyland, but if I can get to these books as well, it's going to be great. So technically we're going to be adding, I believe it is 6 extra prompts, so technically it would be like reading 12 books a month if Candyland doesn't give me any additional challenges. One of them is going to be a Candyland throwback, so reading a book from a previous Candyland TBR that I have not read. One of them is going to be a random number generator so that I can pick any book off my shelf and read it, and that is to test the hypothesis of, did I clear out all the books on my shelves that I'm no longer interested in, or do I have to clear out more? We are going to do a Kindle Unlimited jar, a subscription box spinner wheel, as well as picking a random prompt from my TBR jar, and a manga wheel. Now, I don't have everything ready for January, honestly, because it's been very busy, so some things I'm just going to choose for myself this month if the spinners or jars are not ready yet, but for the rest, we are going to go in. The first thing is a Candyland throwback, and I did not have time to make a spinner wheel or a chart with all of the books I have mentioned in the previous year regarding Candyland, but one book I know I did mention and did not end up reading is actually the last book in the Pages & Co series. I will insert a photo right here, and honestly, I want to finish the series. One, because it's great to finish series, and two, because I'm just so invested in the story and this world that I'm really itching to get back to it. So this is what I will be putting on this month. As I said, next month it will be more of a random pick, but that's what we're going with this month. I have started inputting data in a chart with all of my unread books. So for the random number generator, I'm not completely done, but we'll do between 1 and 188, and then I'll consult my chart and see what book that is. So let me screen record and show you guys what happened. Let's start recording. Number 17. Number 17 is actually the 4th book in the Percy Jackson series. However, I have not read book 3 yet, so I'm technically going to put book 3 of the Percy Jackson series. Actually, did I? I'm not sure if I read it or not, but it will be the next book I haven't read in the original Percy Jackson series, because I'm questioning if I did or not finish book 3. There was a whole thing with these books that made it very complicated. I read and then stopped reading. It was a whole thing. So, as I said, the next book in the Percy Jackson series is now officially on the TBR. Next, we are getting our little friend Baddie right here for a Kindle Unlimited pick. Some of them I have returned and put new ones, but we'll find one that I haven't returned. Let's go. Oh, I have 2 of them. Let's go with this one, which is The Nice Sky. I will insert a photo here. I don't remember which one this is, but I think this is just like a basic little cute romance, so adding this to the TBR because I know I still have it out from Kindle Unlimited. Next, we are going to pick up from the random prompt jar. I have taken some of these out and put some more in it, so this is also what I'm going to use for Candyland when the random prompt comes up. So let's pick something here, which is least read genre. That's interesting. I decided to go with a thriller for this one because I feel like mystery thrillers and horrors are some of my most, like, I don't really think about those books. I don't really know how to say it. Like, I want to read them, but I don't pick them from my shelves. So I decided to go with To Tell You the Truth by Gilly Macmillan. This is a book I found in a thrift store. I have hauled it recently in my last thrift store book haul, and I am super intrigued by this. I look at it on my shelf a lot and I'm like, I have a feeling this could be a 5-star read, so we're just gonna put it on here and hope for the best. And I think it somewhat fulfills the prompt, because as I said, I don't read a lot of thrillers. The stack beside me is getting big. Now we have 2 more prompts I think to fulfill. One of them is subscription box books, and I'm going to put all of them in a spinner wheel for next month, but for this month I'm just going to pick, and I'm actually waiting for this book to arrive in the mail. It is a December pick for a book subscription, so if you don't want to be spoiled, move past this little segment, but it is What the River Knows or something like that. I will insert a picture here. It is the YA pick for the Fairy Loot box. First of all, this book is stunning, and for some reason I just have this biggest urge to read this book. Like, I had to stop myself from buying it because I think I'm going to absolutely adore this book, and so it's also going to knock off reading a book that I just got from a subscription. So that is what we are going to read. I can't really tell you what it's about because I've read the synopsis a bunch of times, but then it kind of slips my mind. But every time I read it again, I'm super excited. And the last thing we have to do is to spin the manga wheel and pick a manga to read, because I promised myself in 2024 we are getting back to our manga grind, which, you know, they're all behind me here. So let's do it. I'll insert the screen recording. Let's start recording and let's spin. Ooh, I thought it was gonna be haiku, but we are going to read The Witch of Artemis. Okay. This is the manga in question. I actually got this off of Facebook Marketplace because I thought it sounded interesting and it was very cheap. This is the first in a series. I only own the first book, which is unfortunate, but it follows a main character who as a child was told all these stories about a different planet by his father, and he has always wanted to go there and always wanted to believe it was true, and that has continued even after their father passes. And then the story ensues, and from what I understand, our main character is going to get the chance to actually go and visit this planet. So I'm very interested to see how this will play out. I'm not sure if I'm going to love or hate this, but either way, we are going to be reading it in the month of January. This along, oh my god, this is going to fall. This along with a few other books I mentioned either via photos or that have not arrived yet are my TBR. Now, ideally, to reach my goals, I would like to read at least 50% of all of this, and obviously I will prioritize what I put on my Candyland TBR, but it's very exciting. There's a mixture of genres here and I'm super hyped. So let me know what you guys want me to like review or talk about, or what I should prioritize in these books, and I'll catch you guys very soon with another video. Bye guys, happy reading.